gentlemen, I'm going to review the 4 brand new Theodoros Kalotinis Extrait fragrances: Peach Macaron, Matcha Ice Cream, Tiramisu and Marzipan Gourmand. I got these personally sent by Theodoros Kalotinis. So Theodoros, thank you so much for these, and let's not waste any more time and let's deep dive into these 4 fragrances. First off, let's start with the fragrance that might have gotten the most attention when these dropped, and that is Peach Macaron. I find this fragrance to be absolutely delightful, delicious and yummy. This fragrance is so creamy, dense, thick, lactonic and very fruity. The peach accord here comes off not necessarily as a peach, but maybe perhaps as something that might have been peach flavored, because the peach here is slightly synthetic, but in the best way possible in my opinion, with a lot of fruity, lactonic and milky nuances, almost giving you a creamy peach custard feeling here, with the macaron accord on my skin not necessarily smelling like a macaron, but more of yogurt because of the very creamy sweet vanilla in the base, giving you additional creaminess and sweetness to this fragrance that might have given me, and on my skin and in my experience at least, a very creamy yogurt like peach scent here. In the dry down, you're going to pick up on the vanilla slightly more, giving you a very creamy, soft, slightly powdery, but perhaps a little sour. So here you get the sensation of something that might have been peach flavored with the very thick, milky, lactonic, vanillic, custard-like sensation. So in the end, in my opinion, this smells more like a peach cream, like peach yogurt, more than a peach macaron perhaps. But on some people's skin, this comes off a little bit more cake-like, which gives off this peach macaron vibe. In the end, I think this is a delightful fragrance and one of the best fruity gourmand fragrances I have ever tried. This is delicious, yummy, and to some extent not too strong, even though you might have thought of this being that, but I think that is to its own benefit. Speaking of strong, on my skin, Theodoros Kalotinis Peach Macaron lasts 10 to 12 hours, with projection being an arm's length for the first hour to 2 hours or so, which then dries to a moderate scent bubble-like scent, which then eventually dries to a mild skin scent. I found this fragrance to have projection that comes and goes, so in the first couple of hours you can definitely detect this fragrance within an arm's length trajectory, but then it dries to a very soft and mild skin scent, but then sometimes it reappears as a nice sillage. I think if this would have been even stronger and even more potent, it might not have smelled as good and perhaps not be as pleasant and perhaps headache inducing. So I think to its own benefit, I'm glad that this isn't stronger than it already is, but still very thick, very dense, very strong fragrance nonetheless. Perhaps one of the best fruity gourmand fragrances out there. Next up, a very interesting one, and that is Matcha Ice Cream. This fragrance was nothing like I would have expected whenever I tried it the first time, because this does not smell in any way of a synthetic matcha. In my opinion, this smells very authentically matcha-like, with the ice cream-like qualities being present as well. The matcha accord here smells very authentic in a way that it almost smells like cardboard, which matcha can smell like, and also it has this very dry, very dusty quality to it, so it almost smells like as if you are drinking a matcha, especially for the first time, where it can taste very cardboard-like. So I definitely think that this has encapsulated authentic matcha as how it tastes in a very authentic smell, giving you a very dry, green, slightly fresh, but not really, but mostly very cardboard, dusty, powdery-like scent, with the ice cream accord giving you a boost of creaminess, density, depth, and generally a sense of completion, giving you this very authentic and somewhat delicious matcha ice cream feel, with a hint of something gourmand like with the waffle accord there as well, reminding you perhaps of some other Theodoros Kalotinis fragrances like pear gelato or pistachio latte, but in a whole different way. I think this potentially could be an incredible summer gourmand fragrance to wear, because it has this cooling sensation because of the ice cream accord, but in In the end, this fragrance dries to a powdery, sweet, smooth vanilla with some green touches here and there. I think this is very surprising and such a pleasant wear, to be honest. Also a very comforting scent with the matcha, giving you a sense of being calm and relaxed while being very pleasantly surprised with the creamy, dense, thick ice cream accord. This is super nice. On my skin, Theodoros Kalotinis Matcha Ice Cream lasts 10 to 12 hours, with projection being an arm's length of projection for around a couple of hours, which then dries to a moderate scent, bubble-ish scent, which then at some point dries to a very mild skin scent. Again, the same type of projection, with the first couple of hours being somewhat prominent within an arm's length trajectory, but then it disappears and comes back as a nice sillage. So not way too strong, and I think that is once again to its own benefit. So if you're looking for a very authentic smelling matcha fragrance with perhaps a gourmand touch, look no further than this. Next up, perhaps the star of the show, it's Tiramisu. This fragrance is, in my opinion, the most photorealistic tiramisu fragrance you will ever encounter. This smells like as if you have a plate of tiramisu right in front of you. The coffee here is very dusty, dry, and the dark chocolate gives you this bitter, almost realistic chocolate smelling scent. You have this very creamy, soft whipped cream like vanilla here, giving you some density, backbone, and softness and fluffiness perhaps, with the dark chocolate giving you a bitterness that combines with the bitter coffee very well, in the end giving you a dusty yet dark, delicious and contrasting scent to the vanilla, in the end giving you a very delicious, dark yet creamy, bitter, vanillic scent that smells as close to a real plate of tiramisu as humanly possible. Not only that, this is very strong. This will perhaps fill a room if you spray it enough, but overall this is a very strong fragrance, but in a pleasant way, especially if you love coffee and generally gourmand fragrances. But it's mind-boggling how realistically this smells of a tiramisu, but this is in no way, shape or form unpleasant, because the coffee blended with the dark chocolate and the vanilla in the end, giving you a full picture of the very creamy yet dark and bitter nuances here. It's delightful. On my skin, Theodoros Kalotinis Tiramisu lasts 14 plus hours, with projection being arm's length for a couple of hours, which then dries to a moderate and at some point a mild skin scent. Same case as with the two other ones, but the arm's length trajectory of projection lasts for perhaps an hour longer, and the scent bubble around you will smell a little bit denser and thicker. So if you think of fragrances being perhaps too strong, this will be very, very strong. And this has been, in my experience, the longest lasting out of the 4 fragrances from this batch of releases, and I think this is a delightful one. If you like coffee fragrances, you need to check this one out. Last but definitely not least, we have Marzipan Gourmand. This took me by surprise because this has decent amount of different textures and vibes going on here. This has a lot of almonds, so this is not necessarily very nutty. It is nutty, but not necessarily a lot, but you're going to get almond-like nuances in various different ways. You're going to get this very thick, dense, and almost chalk-like marzipan texture here, while you're also going to get something powdery, something sugary, almost dusty perhaps. You're also going to pick up on some cherry nuances, because of course when you're making cherry accord, you are going to need almond-like compounds like heliotropin and coumarin, which there is a lot of in here. You pick up on the very juicy and fruity cherry-like nuances on top of the various different textures from the marzipan accord, the sugar accord, and the marshmallow accord, giving you a texture overload, which gives this a lot of complexity, depth, density, and of course a backbone that it can live off of. This is very strong, very dense, again filled with different textures, and surprisingly also with some fruitiness as well. This smells a lot like marzipan, so you need to like the scent of almonds and marzipan to enjoy this fragrance. fragrance. And if you also like a touch of fruitiness in these types of scent profiles, then I think you'd really enjoy this one. This will remind you a decent amount of fragrances like Hayali, Lovefest, Burning Cherry, but the way this smells both very sugary, very nutty, very marzipan-like, with the various different textures, both the sugary powderiness, the very dense marzipan-like texture, and also the fluffiness from the marshmallow core. This is super interesting and perhaps the most underrated one from all the fours that are mentioned in this video. On my skin, Theodoros Kalotinis Marzipan Gourmand lasts 12 plus hours, with the projection being an arm's length of projection for around a couple of hours, which then dries to a moderate scent, bubble-like scent, and at some point a very mild skin scent. Same case here, fourth time in a row. The fragrance's projection is going to be an arm's length, but then disappears after a couple of hours and comes back here and there as a nice sillage for some people to notice. Super delicious like the rest, and definitely the most textured one, to be honest. Gentlemen, my final opinion rating of these 4 Theodoros Kalotinis fragrances. I need to say this first. These fragrances are in the talks, in my opinion, of being some of the very best fragrances released this year, both because of the price and quality of fragrances you're getting and the creativity of these scent profiles here, and also the potency of these fragrances is no joke. So let me rank them for you. In my opinion, Theodoros Kalotinis Peach Macaron has gotten a 9.9 out of 10 men's improvement rating. I would have wanted it a tad bit stronger in terms of projection, then would have gotten a perfect 10. Otherwise, this is almost a perfect fragrance in my opinion. I've given Theodoros Kalotinis Matcha Ice Cream a 9.7 out of 10 men's improvement rating. By far the most unique fragrance out of the lineup, and perhaps the most underrated one for some, and perhaps an amazing contender for a summer gourmand. Next up, I've given Theodoros Kalotinis Tiramisu a 9.9 out of 10 men's improvement rating, as well as Peach Macaron, because this is almost a fragrance without any errors or something that is missing. Again, I would have wanted it to be a tad bit stronger in the projection department, but because this is an Extrait, I think that is why. Otherwise, a fragrance without fault. And lastly, I've given Theodoros Kalotinis Marzipan Gourmand a 9.5 out of 10 men's improvement rating. I would have given this a higher rating if this would have been perhaps a tad bit stronger and perhaps lacked the cherry nuances, because you can definitely smell the use of coumarin and heliotropin. If there was a way to just give you the authentic smell of marzipan without the cherry-like nuances and perhaps a little bit more strength and projection, this would have gotten an even higher rating. But nonetheless, these ratings are no joke. These fragrances are no joke. And if you are a gourmand lover, you need to check these ones out as quickly as possible, in my opinion. These are incredible and perhaps some of the best fragrances released in 2025. Gentlemen, that was it for my review of the 4 brand new Theodoros Kalotinis Extrait fragrances. What do you guys think? Comment down below with your thoughts down in the comment section below. Have you tried some of these? Have you anticipated the release of these fragrances yourself? Do you have a specific favorite if you have tried them, or are you going to pick up perhaps one of them or maybe all 4 of them for yourself? I would love to see what you have to say down in the comment section. And once again, thank you so much to Theodoros Kalotinis for sending these fragrances to me, and thank you so much my good friend Katja for initiating Theodoros to send me these fragrances. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the Men's Improvement YouTube channel for more videos about fragrances, grooming, style, fashion, skincare, fitness, watches, everything that will make you, gentlemen, the best possible versions of yourselves. The last few things that I want to ask you, gentlemen, is to smile more because it's free, and I want you to watch these 2 videos right here. This one here below is my latest upload rest. This one up here is going to be video that the YouTube algorithm thinks you will enjoy.